welcome to my channel. This is Camson the Oracle, and I'm so much more than an oracle, but it is one of the main gifts that I have been using to help other people on this journey of spiritually awakening and overcoming the many different patterns that have kept us in loops where we are not fully satisfied with who we are. I'm inspired to share this because I've noticed that there are a lot of people that feel like the soft life is not something that's actually possible, specifically for indigenous women. Through me connecting with my goddesses and receiving this information, I didn't do any research to see what other people are saying and thinking about this. And so one of the main things that I noticed coming up, I guess since I posted that first video about it, now it's like in the algorithm and it's coming up. And what I noticed is that a lot of people feel like this is something that's just not possible for us, because this world that we're living in, the stress, the depression, the sadness, the anxiety that we feel, the disconnect that we feel from our divine selves, the disconnection sometimes that we feel even from, our own soul. That's a thing, that there's something called soul loss. If you've never heard of it, you can go to newverselive.com, check out the blogs. They're completely free, and type in soul loss or shamanic journey, and you can learn more about that. But soul loss is basically what happens when we go through certain traumas and we don't reintegrate those experiences. And so in the spiritual awakening that's happening for the collective, as Mama Earth herself is increasing her vibrational frequency to help us, it's one of those things where whether you are doing the work or not, if there are parts of you that you lost, parts of you that you had to repress, parts of you that you had to hide, especially as children. There were a lot of things that we learned very early on is not safe to share with other people, especially if you had spiritual gifts and you were aware of these things as a child. We learned very early on that this is not something that is talked about. It's considered strange. It is something that's considered evil or, demonic. It's something that's not useful. It's something that don't matter, and a lot of us got shunned and we got outcasted throughout our lives because of these unique aspects of our being. And those things are traumatic programs that are set up so that as soon as we come through the womb, we're being imprinted with these traumas. And what happens is, in the hospitals and the way everything is set up, the energy of the hospital alone is stressful, number one. The statistics show that Black women, indigenous women, Native women, women of color receive really, really terrible care in comparison to others in different ethnicities and races and socioeconomic status. And so the trauma is something that we agree to experience in this earth school to help us evolve. And as difficult as it may seem to be, to make it make sense, because some traumas were so painful that it doesn't seem like it has any benefit to you. And I can relate to that. But every single trauma, I don't care what it is, benefited you. Now, I know that may be a blanket, bold statement, and it is a black and white statement, but it's something that I stand on. Speaking from experiences, I have many adverse childhood experiences and complex PTSD that I am still working through in the present. So I completely get it when you're in a space of not really wanting to deal with it because it obviously damaged me. How could this be of benefit to me? That brings me to the conversation about a soft life, and I want to reframe what a soft life means the way it was given to me. And the ironic part about all of this is I have had so much focus on the spiritual business, the next direction to go in, to be of service, that I sometimes overlook these trends that are happening in the culture, these different lifestyles. So I had no idea that this was like a trending thing, just like with a spiritual awakening. Now soft life is a trending topic. When it was given to me, I was experiencing a lot of overwhelm in my nervous system about some of the future timelines that I see unfolding, about some of the actions or inaction that people close to me are taking, and I can see where it's leading. This includes some of my own actions and inactions. And as I'm tuning into the collective to see collectively what we may be experiencing, that is something that I'm very sensitive to. And I experience it as if it's myself. And if I am not putting enough time into my self-care, self-soothing, my daily spiritual practices, and when I say daily, I mean this is something we must do daily. It is not an option anymore. There are no more gentle awakenings occurring. Everything is obvious and in your face, and it's calling for us to come back to a state of compassion, self-love, and surrender. I am not perfect. I am a human being. Because of the work that I do, being hypersensitive, being hypervigilant, having these traumas that I'm still in the process of integrating, rediscovering my authentic self, learning how to differentiate between different masks that I use to navigate difficult circumstances, it requires a lot of devotion and discipline. And sometimes I allow myself to get lost in the work that I'm doing, and I have to take time to pull myself out. So if you've been wondering why I haven't been posting the energy updates for every new moon and full moon, it is because I am committing myself to taking the best possible care of myself that I can. Running a business is not an excuse for me to not take care of myself. And it's something that I am working through. So if you have unsubscribed or, maybe not really watching the videos as much, or maybe you're wondering why I am inconsistent in my posting and things like that, it is because of my commitment to a soft life. And that leads me to the initial experience that I touched on when I did the first live video about this. But the initial experience was a moment where I was forced into stasis. And as you know, I've talked about this before if you've been listening to me for a while. But sometimes stasis is like a mild burnout where we are so tired, so exhausted, so psychically fatigued that we can do nothing else but sit down or lay down. You don't want to talk. You definitely don't want to be on your phone. You don't want to talk on your phone. You don't want to do anything but just be. And in that moment, I laid prostrate and just allowed my mind to be watched instead of trying to control everything. This is the OBB strategy that I talked about before, which is an ancient technique that I downloaded in meditation. And so I'm just observing myself and allowing myself to become still waters. That requires surrender, not control. When we try to control our busy monkey mind, it actually gets worse. And the more you try to control, it's like a bucket with a hole in it, and you're trying to control how much water it's holding, and it keeps running out. You can imagine how tired you're eventually going to get of doing that. So the process of OBB is observing the emotions so that I can be still. And when you become still water, not stagnant water, but just still water, meaning you're in a state of surrender, you're in a state of allowing, you're in a state of not trying to force anything to be different, you're not trying to fix anything, you're not trying to think your way out of difficult situations that may be occurring, you're not trying to figure out how to fix stuff going on in your relationship. Like all of these things can sometimes make us like literally sick. I mean, spiritually sick, disconnected. We're not grounded. And when you do not have stillness within yourself by connecting to your core self, then you become a magnet for chaotic energies outside of you. And this will actually lead to more overwhelm. So learning how to be still, learning how to surrender is just as important, if not more important, as learning how to set intentions, have strategies, and move accordingly, which we can also call a form of control. Being in control of yourself, being in control of your life, and things of that nature. So, as I am working myself through the OBB process so that I can have this out-of-brain experience, get back into my body, and just be fully present with whatever it is, and just be compassionate towards myself and tender, the same way that I would treat a baby who is overwhelmed, scared, upset, is how I needed to treat myself in that moment. As I was doing this, I heard very clearly to soften, to be soft, to lean into feminine energy, feminine essence. And this is something anybody can do. It's not gender specific. Because being tender, having self-compassion is my definition of a soft life. My definition of a soft life is not all of these different luxurious purchases, being able to travel or do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, not having responsibilities, not having to have schedules and routines, just basically, being in a space of like a princess, a good example would be better, even better than a princess, like an heir, right? Like Paris Hilton. If soft life, the way it's been perpetuated as of late in trends, had a person to represent it, it would be Paris Hilton. And I think that paints a really good visual. Nothing against Paris Hilton, because I don't have any judgment for anybody. But I think that that would be a great visual to get the idea of the messages about soft life that, are being posted on the internet. That's not it. That's something completely different. So I'm going to read to you what I was inspired to write last night about softening and trusting the process and what it really is versus what we may think it is and what other people are defining this as. The soft life is not based on luxurious lifestyles, though that can be an aspect of it. It's not based on having easy jobs or not ever having to work. And it's not based on having money given to you by your family, sugar daddies, or sugar mamas. And you don't have to do anything because the money is just being given to you. Maybe you have a trust. It's not about that. It's not just about the material gain. Nor is it based on being able to have everything your way every day. Soft life is being compassionate to yourself in all circumstances. Soft life is assigning meaning to experiences that come from the perspective of the heart, not the logical mind, often based on logic and past patterns created by past experiences. Notice patterns, but do not assign meaning to things that validate your victimhood. Soft life is trusting the process of your journey and knowing that you are being loved, protected, and supported no matter how things may appear to be. Difficulties such as hard jobs, difficult bosses, unsafe emotional parents, emotionally immature parents, or partners, and any friendships or relationships that have a negative impact on your well-being do not necessarily make a soft lifestyle impossible. Let me say that again, because this is the main argument that I've been saying about being able to create a soft lifestyle. If you are having difficulties, if you have a difficult job, a difficult boss, a dysfunctional family, unsafe parents, a partner maybe who is emotionally unstable, friendships or relationships that are having a negative impact on your well-being, none of those things make a soft life impossible. Financial difficulties do not make a soft lifestyle impossible. Being in the house with people who have different lifestyles does not make a soft lifestyle impossible. Now, I have personally experienced all of the above difficulties on top of being born with an extremely painful terminal illness. I have experienced homelessness, poverty, and domestic emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and I have been estranged from my biological family since 2016. These things do not negate my ability to create a softer lifestyle. So if you heard that video or have heard this before and thought to yourself, how in the world am I going to have a soft lifestyle? And I'm living in this hard world. I'm living in a world where hard work seems to be the only thing that is rewarded. I'm living in a world where the hustle culture is the only way to be financially free and successful, to achieve goals. I'm living in a world that is quote unquote a man's world, which is built on being able to have the physical strength, being able to have the capacity to work endless hours, 9 to 5s every day. How can I create a soft lifestyle with all of that? In a world where war and all types of famines, and false flags, natural disasters, implosion on the financial markets, the debt is just increasingly growing. There are people moving into our country on our dime, and they're being moved into the homes that we can no longer afford because the cost of living is exceeding what most of us can make. All of these things that are occurring, all of the chaos that's happening, all of these epidemics, these things do not negate your ability to live a soft lifestyle. A soft lifestyle simply means that you learn to be compassionate to yourself in all circumstances, that you practice surrendering what you cannot control, and that you trust the universe, the creatrix, the Most High, whatever name you have for the divine, to help you, to assist you, to protect you, to love you, to care for you. This is how you create a softer lifestyle. This is the lifestyle of self-compassion. This is a lifestyle of self-empathy. Now, one of the main ways I achieve anything I set the intention to accomplish is by using spirituality not only as the compass for the directions that I take in life, but also for protection, for assistance with financial difficulties, for assistance with health difficulties, mental health imbalances, emotional pain, relational pain, overwhelm, generational trauma, and just the overall difficulties that we experience when life starts lifing, and when the math ain't mathing, and when things just not working out the way we would like for it to. Leaning into the spiritual practices that we all have access to now. We're not living in the paradigm of the age of Pisces, where we only have what has been given to us by generations before us, passed down to us, with very little true understanding of the true meaning. We have access in the age of Aquarius to anything that we desire to be informed about. Mostly anything. There are a lot of things being censored and a lot of things that are media blacked out. But you can find a lot of that in our NVIP community on Patreon. So you even have access to the things that might be banned and censored. And I'm not the only one. There are many other truthers as well. So having that access means that there is more responsibility on us to transform, because we do have more resources. Okay? And by leaning into what can I do spiritually to shift what's occurring in my life? What steps do I need to take to be more empathetic and compassionate and loving towards myself, especially in the face of perceived failure? If you are not integrating spirituality into your self-realization journey. That's not a spiritual awakening. That's personal development. In my eyes, personal development belongs in a marriage with spiritual growth. I have had so much success by combining the two. So much so that oftentimes I don't get to communicate to you all of the things that have been massively transformed in my life, because it happens so much. It is a daily occurrence. Breakthroughs happen often. Now, do I still get stuck in the dark night of the soul? Do I ever get stressed out? Do I ever get depressed? Do I ever start to worry about things? Do I ever get in a place where I'm trying to control what I cannot control? Absolutely. However, I have my spiritual tool set. I have my action plan for me to lean on when I need to. That way, I'm not expending excess energy into something that's not going to help me. So I want to share with you all one of the goddesses that I work with, and one of the gods, the deities that I work with as well. And these divine beings have helped me so much with ways that I can integrate a softer, more tender, compassionate approach to myself. And the first one is Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is considered to be a lunar goddess of Asiatic origins. And her teachings are centered around self-compassion, unconditional self-compassion, and surrender. You can listen to meditations and mantras to tap into this archetypal wisdom, which is not just information. This is a frequency. And it's no different than channels on the TV and radio stations on the radio. If what you need in your life is more self-love, more patience, more compassion, more empathy, by tuning yourself to a frequency that matches the remedy that you need in your life, you open up avenues for those insights, those aha moments, those Akashic downloads to be received into yourself, so that you can make changes in your life, so that your lifestyle supports the person you're meant to become. So those are some simple ways that you can work with Kuan Yin to help you with this. Another thing that I often bring my focus to is the masculine aspect of this, because the masculine provides structure. It provides the container. The masculine is also another form of protective energy. This is yang energy. And being that we are learning how to have more harmony and balance between work life and our health, and work life and our family, our love life, it's good to work with both. Especially if you are healing some father wounds or healing from difficult relationships with the opposite sex, it's really good to work with a divine being that has the masculine characteristics but in a divine aspect. And one of those is Ganesha, Lord Ganesha. Lord Ganesha is on my altar, and I listen to the mantras. I repeat and recite these mantras. It helps me by using the sound frequency and the Sanskrit words, attune my chakras to be aligned with the frequency of Lord Ganesha. And there is an anatomy of the brain that is similar to the shape of Lord Ganesha. And so these exist inside of us. Remember, as within, so without, as above, so below. So by doing that and integrating that into my spiritual practices, I'm now providing the spiritual divine masculine and the spiritual divine, and I know spiritual and divine is the same thing, but I want to make sure that you're really receiving that routines is what will support you. Okay? Spiritual routines that we call rituals. These are rituals that light up the path that is best for you, that light up the darkness in your life, that light up the shadows that are holding you back and impeding upon your progress. And so by tuning in to spirituality and devoting to have a daily practice, you can accomplish what the sporadic, sometimes we get on these sporadic things where we do something for a day or for a week, and then we just quit, we stop, we give up on it. We need consistency. And if your life seems to have an accumulation of things that are undesirable, it is a consistency of applying and accumulating spirituality that's going to bring forth the transformation and the harmony and balance that you seek. So according to the human design, there are certain gates that are activated during certain times. And right now we're learning how to heal codependency and people-pleasing aspects of our personality that we were conditioned to have. As a collective, this is something that's healing within us. To live a soft life means that you must not people please, and you must not be codependent. You must not put yourself last. You must not be a martyr. You must not be so afraid that people will not like the authentic you that you hide yourself and you wear a mask. These things do make life hard. And a lot of us are experiencing hardships. Listen to the word. It's a ship that's built with hard, difficult things. And so you're traveling through life, which is like water. And everything feels hard. And some stuff is probably harder than it really has to be. And this is something that I have noticed even with myself. And I truly believe that the compassionate, tender, empathetic, softer lifestyle is the key for hardships. So this is the guidance that if we are being given through me doing some deep diving into the human design. And if you book a human design reading with me, this is the type of information that you will receive. We're being directed to move forward, to love our body. We are always in the right place at the right time. We will receive the right experiences that will support us. Good luck is finally on our side. Don't miss out. Use your luck for good deeds. Follow the general rules. Obey the laws that you know you need to support your well-being. It is important to remain honest because your future depends on it. Career growth is available to many of us now. And we can feel more free to accept these offers and opportunities that are on their way to us. Now, it is difficult sometimes to choose to further our path, and this is a very normal thing. Sometimes when we lack clarity, we don't want to take any steps for fear of stepping into the wrong direction. But do not be afraid. This is a great time to seek help from spiritual teachers, soothsayers, motivational speakers, inspirational speakers, and teachers of metaphysics that will help you to find the best path for you. Show discipline, and you will find people to support you on your journey as you commit to this. Sometimes there are influential people, possible mentors and coaches that are just waiting for us to be on the broadcast channel to have an interaction that is divinely appointed. It is also important to have patience and perseverance at this time. Consistency in your actions and goals will create respect for yourself and the universe, and the people in this world will also be cultivated to respect you. This is a great time for personal changes. You can safely make these changes. If you have been struggling with habits that are no longer supporting you, addictions that come in many forms, especially love addiction, the addiction to dopamine that we get through doom scrolling on social media, our feeds. These things can eat and impede upon your path. So keep in mind, everyone may not agree with the steps that you are taking on your path. But as long as you are making decisions that are best for you, whatever else is in alignment with what's best for you will be magnetically drawn to you. And what is not best for you will be removed from your path. I hope that this message has spoke to someone, even if I touch one person. I hope that you are able to take this information and build upon it. I want to invite you to the NVIP tribe. I just posted some new material about a dream that I had where an ancestor came to me and actually gave me a spiritual bath. And this was validation that there is some really insidious intentions that have been thrown my way. And when an ancestor comes to you in a dream and run you some spiritual bath water and tell you what you need to do to clear it up, that's something that you take seriously. And that's something that's so sacred, because it takes a lot for our ancestors and our spirit guides to communicate with us, especially if we don't have consistent spiritual routines. Our mind is busy and we're caught up in the game of life of the 3D matrix, always chasing something and trying to make something happen. So all of that information, everything that she told me to do, what it means, how to do it, the products and tools that you need to do it, all of that has been posted on the weekly post for Patreon this week. So you can check that out. The link will be below. And also, if you want to book your human design Akashic record reading, it's a great time to do so. The schedule does have a few openings, so I will be on the lookout for that. Be sure that you message me your birth date, place, and time, and give me a few days to get that together, and I will send you a file with all of the information. But you wouldn't be listening to me if you were not ready to take these steps and invest in yourself. So I'm not going to veer off too much into what happened with the dream and the meaning, and how do you know that somebody maybe is in a space of jealousy or envy, or just speaking negative things about you in conversations with other people, obsessing and thinking about you. These things can sometimes be obstacles that are created in roadblocks in our path. So all of that information I feel like is super useful, and I know that I'm speaking to somebody who really needs this, and maybe you have been petitioning and praying and asking for some guidance. So I bring that up, and you can check that out. I will also put those links in the description. And I want to thank you all for supporting the channel. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the subscribes that I'm receiving. I see I got some new people in the past 2 weeks. And share, your comment. What was your biggest takeaway from this conversation today? I would love to hear it. I read all of my comments and messages. And it gives me the guidance as to how I can be in service to you all when you all speak up and share your truth. So I definitely encourage you to do that, and check out the testimonials and go to the website. Check out the blog. There's so much information there, but just make sure that what you're investing time into and the information that you're allowing to come into you, is make sure that it's something that's going to support you and support the highest purpose that you are called to create and experience, this new earth